Hello beautiful people and welcome back to another episode of Reviews Under 5. Let's get right into it, but before we do, if you can do the magic with the likes and subscribes and all the good stuff, much appreciated. Let's go. Alrighty, so Old by M. Night Shyamalan starring Gael Garcia Bernal and Vicky Krieps. If I butchered any of those names, I apologize. Just out in the cinemas right now. I watched it last week actually. Fun little outing. The basic premise is this couple with two children go on a beautiful tropical island to chill out and get back to themselves a little bit when they get stranded on a beach where suddenly all of them and some other people on the beach as well are mysteriously rapidly aging. And then let's see what happens. Let's start with the good stuff. I think the acting was solid all around. I mean, there was no weak players or nobody that I thought was pushing it. And considering that, this is a film about people freaking out that what on earth is going on to their bodies, fair dues. It's not easy to maintain that heightened state. I love the concept. I love the premise of the story, although I believe he adapted it from a novel and then obviously he fleshed it out. And I enjoy the story overall. Having to face your own mortality in a very short period of time and the mortality of your loved ones and all that stuff. Getting an existential crisis in an hour and a half, thanks a lot. But it is a fascinating topic. That's why I think later on I got into a little bit of a problem. I'll go into that in a second. So let's get into the problems now as well. A minor problem early on which I noticed was some of the dialogue felt a little bit forced. I felt like the characters are having certain conversations to be discussing the theme of the film, not necessarily because that's how they would talk, which again felt a bit weird. The words coming out of their mouths felt placed. The story had a lot going for it. Fair dues to M. Night Shyamalan for giving it a proper bash because it's not an easy thing to bring to the screen. And because the story itself, once you flesh it out into full-length film, it presents some challenges because you start out with this build-up and this fascinating idea, and then the question is, where do you go from there? Unfortunately, ending, no spoilers, doesn't quite live up to the build-up. It felt a bit deflated. It's probably the weakest part of the film, the last 50 minutes, which is a shame. And surprisingly, there was some questionable cinematography in the sense that in order to fully communicate to us and make us feel these characters' dread and just this disorienting experience of growing old in your body physically, and he used a lot of close-ups and then spinning the camera around and things like that. And I just remember watching this spin in the cinema, and at one point, the image, it was almost like missing a couple of frame rates. Like there was a little... I did not enjoy that bit. So at some point, he got a little bit carried away with trick shots. But overall, it was a solid attempt, and I have to give it to him. And the overall score for me is a 7.9 because I think the film had a lot of promise. It's not great, but it's more than just okay. So it's in between that great, okay, good-ish. It's good-ish, I would say. So I'm gonna go with my 7.9. But it is a solid attempt, and I have to appreciate that. Anyways, that was my review of Old by M. Night Shyamalan. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, check out the other videos I've done. Leave comments, subscribe, like, all the good stuff. See you next time.